Are you thinking or considering making a career change? In this video today, I'm going to share 3 common mistakes that you will want to avoid. These are mistakes that I see not only in the clients, the people I work with, but also that I did myself. And they can really, really hold you back from creating the career that you really, really want and really, really love. Before I get into those 3 common mistakes, I want to mention that I have created a free guide on how to create a professional life that you love. It is linked down below. It contains 5 of the steps that I use in my Pathway to Purpose program to help people uncover what it is they really want to do next. 'Cause that's usually what, one of the big things that stops people is they know they want to do something, but they don't know what that is. So the link is down below for that. So as I said, today's video is 3 common mistakes that I see. Often what happens is people actually know they want to make a career change, and sometimes they've known for years, but there's things that stop them along the way, and they can really hold you back, and they don't need to. So this is why I want to talk about some of these things, because if you're feeling this way, I'm hoping I can provide you a different perspective to help shift you, to help you move into an energy and really a desire to want to move forward, where we can move past any blocks that we have, right? So mistake number 1 that I want to mention is that people actually put off making a career change for, sometimes it's for years, but often they put it off until it gets really, really uncomfortable with what they're doing in their job or their career. And then they're either run down, exhausted, stressed out, they've been backed into a corner, maybe they are fired, maybe they lost their job, they were laid off. Yet they've been knowing for a long time that they want to make a career change. In life, we receive little signs all the time, right? We receive nudges, little knowings that we have. But when it comes to a career change, like anything else in life, we kind of ignore the signs. Like we've kind of known deep down in our soul that something needs to change, but we kind of just put it off. It's often what we do as human beings because we don't want to do the work. We don't want to have to figure out what this is, right? But the problem with that is it doesn't actually go away. And if you look back on your life, I can almost guarantee you've had one area of life, or at least one, where this has happened, where you've got, nudges about something, say nudges about your health. And you keep ignoring it. Maybe you're not exercising, maybe you're not eating properly, and all of a sudden you have a health scare. And it's like, oh, I kind of knew something was going to happen, but I didn't listen. That's what we do as humans often, right? Until we become more aware of it, we became more conscious and intentional about creating our lives, is we, sometimes we ignore these signs. And what I see with people is they come to me and they've now been let go from their job, or they've been fired, something like that. And the thought of then applying on another job like that, like they just can't do it. I don't want it. Like every part of me says, I don't want this. I need a change. But now they're in a place where they don't have an income, and they're kind of in a place of feeling really unsettled. And the truth of the matter is, usually when we look back, we can see we had signs. And this is not to blame ourselves or feel bad about where we're at, but just to say, this is you. If you are, receiving signs and waiting for a time when it might feel like it's time, my experience certainly is life keeps moving along, and life is going to keep pushing you towards your greatest destiny. And if you already know deep in your soul that you need to make a change, don't wait until something drastic happens, or even your stress. I talk to people whose health is deteriorating because they are so stressed out, overwhelmed, exhausted, whatever it might be, in their current job. For me, I'm going to give you an example of what happened with me in my career, because I like many people, I put it off as well. I put part of it off. What happened with me was I was building a side business as a coach. I did all the work to figure out this is what I wanted to do, and I was building a side business, but I was scared to leave my full-time job as a CPA. I'm a single parent, I'm the sole income, the sole bread earner. It just felt really scary. So I didn't do anything. I thought, oh, the time will come. Like, I'll just know when I know, right? Well, there were a number of times throughout my career, and certainly within this last employer, where I really felt my values and my ethics did not align with the organization. It happened many times. A couple times where I felt like I was probably on the brink of being fired, and I wasn't during those times. But in the end, I did actually get fired, and it was because I basically chose to disregard something that was asked of me because it did really, really strongly go against my personal values. I had signs. I had signs the whole time. I mean, when it happened, I just went, yeah, okay. Not really surprised that it happened, because there was a part of me that knew that, you know, this might happen one day, because I had been given warning signs. Now, the great thing about my situation is I already had a business up and running. I already had clients. I needed to now, you know, really up level my game, because now this was my sole income. But when it happened, I had this immediate knowing, this very much a knowing that this was a blessing in disguise, that the universe was going, okay, you know, you weren't making the move, so we're gonna push you out of the nest a little bit so you learn how to fly. And so I was grateful that I had done all that work prior. I was, like I said, had a business up and running. But if you haven't done any of that work to lay some foundation, to know what you want, and to start taking steps, that can really put you in a place where you're feeling really unstable. And then it's really hard to give it the time and the energy and the resources that you really need to make this decision, and make it so it's a decision that you stick with, one that actually makes sense. You've gone through a process. We don't want to just be guessing at something. And that's what can happen if we're feeling unstable. If we're feeling like, you know, our base needs, meaning our, you know, food and our shelter, if they're at risk, we can just start grabbing at things, and that's not how you want to approach this. You want to come from a real methodical place where you've had the time to explore, and then actually start to build something, and to start doing that research and all the steps that are involved in actually creating a new path for yourself. So if you have been getting the nudges and they don't go away, I would just really encourage you, don't ignore them. Don't just kind of wait and hope that things get better where you are, or some things magically shift. I know we love to think that, right? But I can assure you, you'll be better off in the long run if you actually take the steps now to really figure out what it is you want and start moving towards it before it gets really bad. Common mistake number 2 is not asking for help. You know, this was a mistake I certainly made. You know, I can ask for help in lots of different areas of my life. When it comes to home repairs, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I have no problem going, help, somebody needs to help me. You know, and there's just other certain areas of my life that I'm kind of the same way. Yet when it came to my career, it was really hard for me to say, I don't know what I'm doing. And even with building my business, it took me a bit to actually admit, even to myself, to be honest, that I needed help. And what I have noticed through working with people, and also just reflecting on my own self, it becomes harder to ask for help when you are somebody who've been very successful in your career. Maybe you've done well, maybe you went to university or college, you did really well there. Like, you've always had these accomplishments. You've always done really well, and it's come somewhat naturally. Now, it doesn't mean you haven't worked hard, but it's come naturally. You've been able to achieve certain things. It can be really hard and feel really scary to say, I don't know what I'm doing in my career. You know, we love to think we've got it all figured out. And like I said, I was really guilty of this until I saw it. And then I went, oh, wow, okay. So it's okay to admit, I don't know what I'm doing and I need help. And once I did that, wow, things really shifted quickly. I mean, quickly. And what I discovered certainly was there were things I just simply didn't know. It's that saying, you don't know what you don't know. Well, how do you figure out something if you don't know that you don't even know it? You can't. And so just be aware if you might be prideful, as I was, like I said, there's never a judgment in here what I'm sharing with you, because the mistakes and everything I talk about, I pretty much can assure you I've done them myself. Are you being prideful about this and thinking you should have it figured out, that it's going to somehow make you less of a leader, or make you, feel vulnerable, or make you feel like you don't know what you're doing? It's okay to ask for help. And actually, I've completely shifted my own mindset around. It's actually smart to ask for help. I don't have a problem now at all. If I'm lost, I will reach out anytime, because I've seen how it's really catapulted me forward. Honestly, it really has, and it can do the same for you, but it just, our egos sometimes get in the way of us really being able to move forward. So if that's just you, just be honest with yourself. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to feel lost. That's the place where we can actually start to get answers to help us move forward. So the third mistake that I want to talk about is, actually I just did a short video on this, but I think it's worth mentioning in this longer video today, is the fear of being judged. A lot of people don't necessarily want to move forward because they're scared that people are going to judge them. They're going to criticize them. There's some form of that moving forward. And what I have to say is that you probably are going to be judged. You probably are going to be criticized, especially if you're putting yourself out there in a bigger way. When we want to have a bigger impact and we want to have some influence, which I know so many of you do, you want to be leaders, create change in this world, or in your community, or in your workplace, or whatever it might be. To do that requires you to put yourself out there. There is going to be somebody out there, some point, who is going to judge you, who is going to criticize you, who is going to do that. And so it's not something to avoid. It is something to manage. First of all, accept this is just part of the process. If I'm going to step out, if I'm going to do something different than what I have done before, it often does open us up to being judged and criticized. So 2 things I want to say about this. First of all, this is why it's really important to get clear on your vision, what you're going for, why you're going for it, how you're getting there. It is really important to be anchored in that, because it's in those moments where you might feel judged, you might feel criticized, that anchoring into those and remembering all those things can actually help you move forward. It's not that we don't feel potentially hurt or upset or have feelings where we're disappointed that maybe somebody has judged you or criticized you. It's just being able to see the bigger picture, being able to see that there's a greater purpose. And if that's a little bit of the price you pay to actually create change, and not only that, have fulfillment in your own life. A temporary feeling of feeling maybe that judgment really, in the grand scheme of things, in the long run, really isn't going to make a difference. It doesn't matter who you are on this earth. Honestly, it doesn't matter who you are. Somebody's always judging somebody. It's just how humanity seems to be at this point of our evolution. There is a lot out there. We've seen a lot more of it in the last couple of years. But don't let that stop you, because it's going to happen. And who do you really want to please? Right? Second thing I want to mention is that anybody who does judge you, who does criticize you, first of all, is likely doing less than you. You don't usually get judged and criticized by somebody doing more than you. And just know that if someone gets triggered by you and they judge you and criticize you, it's because they haven't healed an aspect of themselves. You don't go running around judging people when you feel at peace with yourself. It just doesn't happen. You just don't have that way about you. If you are happy with yourself and with your life and what you've created and who you are, and you have an inner sense of peace and harmony, you just don't have a desire to be judging people around you. So if somebody's doing that, just knowing you've triggered a part of them that's not healed. And that's about them. It's not about you at all. It can be really easy to take it personally, but it's not about you. So just with those two things, it can help you move through any feeling of discomfort or feeling that you just, you don't want to move forward because you have this fear. Just accept that it might be part of your process. It might be part of your journey, but just give yourself the tools to actually help you move forward. So that's it for my 3 common mistakes that I wanted to mention. I actually have other common mistakes videos. I'm going to link them down below as well if you are interested in watching them, as well as actually in the guide that I mentioned at the beginning. I also mentioned some other ones because a lot of this journey really is, and we can't avoid all mistakes, nor do we actually want to avoid all mistakes, but there are certain ones that can be easier to avoid than others. And it's those common ones, right, that aren't so unique to ourselves, but are just generally applied common mistakes. Those are the easier ones to avoid. So don't think you have to avoid them, all your mistakes. I think if we try to avoid mistakes, we keep ourselves small. Just some of these bigger ones, if you can know what those are, and then by not doing them, you can get yourself to the road faster, get to where you want to go faster. That's a worthwhile endeavor. If you have enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate it so much, and I will talk to you soon.